history in the 10-minute segment? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, let me fix this so they can see us.
Good morning and welcome to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Borson Hill. We are here at Awesome Radio 106.9 FM WBIS. And just if you choose to join the conversation, our number is 252-756-2008. And good morning.
Good morning, Renee. You didn't bring me in quite, but you did okay. So look, we're going to have a very special day today. Even though every Monday is special because we're here giving out some information that I think all of our Awesome Radio listeners like to get from us, because we double check what we're going to say to make sure we're giving out the right information, correct information. But I know sometimes I make a mistake and you correct me. So that's why we right here, we're a team, and today is a good day here in Pitt County, North Carolina. The weather is good. We're going to be out there. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to be doing something outside today. I know over the weekend, you were working in your garden, cleaning it up a little bit. So that's a good thing. And we got, today, because it is Black History Month, what we do is that we don't talk about the people that everybody talk about every Black History Month. We bring you individuals that you might not never hear about. And that's what we're going to do today. We got a very special individual, a female that she was around, she came into slavery, but we were born into slavery, but we're going to talk more about her later on today. That's what this second segment going to be about. This woman that did a lot for this country, and for Black folks as a whole. So Renee, I'm going to say again, good morning to all of our listeners out there across the country, because I see we have some already from New York listening to us. Good morning, our New York fans out there.
Yes, good morning. Doug here, a very faithful listener.
And I see Virginia is online this morning.
Oh, yeah, Virginia too. Well, good morning, Donna, and welcome here to North Carolina.
Yes, well, and again, if you guys want to call in and talk about something, you can give us a call. I know, Donna, you've done that a few times, and we appreciate the input from everyone that want to call in and give us some input on our conversation. But you know what, Renee? Sometimes what happened is they don't have to necessarily talk about, bring up the conversation or the topic that we talk about. If they have a legitimate topic they want to talk about, just remember that this is a religious station, So you can bring it up, and we listen to it. And we might not comment, but you never know. So again, 252-756-2008. Give us a call back. Okay.
So usually, Calvin, I do not pay attention. I'm not a sports fanatic, and I'm glad you're not one also. But we did look at the Super Bowl last night, and you took your team. You said what team you were going to talk about or want to win. And I said, okay, I'm going to go with one of our sons who was looking for another team. And so you went for the Eagles. And I went for the Chiefs. And who won?
You did. Okay.
No, the Chiefs. I didn't win.
Well, the Chiefs. I mean, the team that you were rooting for, sponsoring, won. And the thing is, I like to do that just to make a little controversy there, make it interesting, because if everybody is rooting for the same team, then it's kind of boring. So I like to change it up a little bit. Like one of our sons, Renee, he will not go with any team that I go with. For some reason, it seems like every team that I go with always lose. But because I don't follow sports, I just pick a name and just go for it. Where he follows it, he gets the paper every day and read the sports from page to page. That's what he do.
Okay. So anyway, so
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 Anthony, you won. Your team won.
hopefully I know he's working now, but hopefully he'll be listening to the show.
Oh yeah, matter of fact, he texted me early this morning.
Okay. So anyway, what's been going on this past week? We had this balloon thing that came on after our show Monday that was flying over, and they brought it over to South Carolina to down it. And then what other things that have been going on is what else? I mean,
Renee, what has been going on as for these balloons and these, like Canada shot one down over the weekend. Okay, now we put one down yesterday. Now I'm thinking, where are these balloons, these things coming from? Are they coming from? I'm going to throw this out there because the last two.
I know you're not going to say they're aliens.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Exactly. Because look, see, we're not the only ones in this universe out here. People might think we are, but I don't think we are. Okay. And the last two, they can't figure out where it came from. So what am I saying? Well, if they can't figure out where it came from, and nobody taking responsibility as to who owned it, the one that China had, we know that was theirs. But the other ones, we don't know, Renee. So we just gonna wait and see what the government says. And then people are saying, well, the White House is not giving us all the information. They need to give us all the information. Well, I'll say this here, that some things the government need to keep to themselves. I don't need to know everything that the government is doing. Of course, there's certain things I like to know, but then there's some things that if I do know, I can't correct it anyway. I can't do nothing about it. All it's going to do is make me think about what's going to happen next. So again, it's like there's a building that the government have with all kind of things in it. I think it's building 51 or 53. But we need to. I don't really need to know what's in there. I really don't. But some people want to know everything, and then when they know, like I said before, Renee, they can't do nothing about it. So what's the purpose? But now we are talking about that, the balloons. So now we're going to move on, Renee, because they're talking about that every station you turn on the TV, that's what they're talking about now. That's the topic for everyone, But we are talking about, we will again want you to stay healthy. I'm changing that topic because, see, as quiet as it kept, people are still dying from the COVID-19. And I have to talk about this every week because we want you to understand that people are still getting it. And not only are they still getting it, but people, like I said, they are still dying. But it's not that many. Now it's under 400 people per day that are dying from it. And now the government is talking about you got to pay for this vaccines now. Well, you see, if I say this here, if the people when they could get it free, wasn't getting it, then they're definitely not going to get it now that they have to pay for it. But I still wear my mask. Renee still wear her mask, and we keep our mask with us all the time because if you see it right here, these are our masks. When we go out to these stores, we might be the only one in the store, with a mask on. But you know what? It's okay because I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my grandchildren because they're around us all the time, and I'm protecting my wife and the people that I don't know. I don't know what they have. Some people, they don't even have the symptoms of the COVID, but then they have it anyway. So they think it's a cold or a cough, and then they end up having the COVID. So what we're doing here, letting you know that you need to still get the vaccination, and you still need to wear your mask when you're out there, especially around a crowd of people. When you're indoors with people, you need to wear that mask. That's what I can say. I do it, and I wish that everybody would do it, but they don't do it. As a matter of fact, they wasn't even doing it, Renee, when there was a bad case of COVID all over the place. You see that people not wearing a mask, but as long as we wear ours, I think that we'll be okay. I hope so anyway.
All righty, so that's enough with the COVID. Okay.
Well,
You still haven't gotten your flu shot, and I never get the flu shot, and I got mine. So I received that shot a month ago because we like to travel. We like to travel in the country, and we like to travel outside the country. And I do hope that since we have this trip coming up, flying up to Atlantic City from the Greenville airport, I hope that you get it because those planes are not large, they're charter planes, and there's close proximity to a lot of people. Now,
well, I'm going to wear my mask on the plane. And you remember what you said a year ago when I got my flu shot and you didn't? What did you say? Well, I'm going to see how he work out. Well, I'm going to see how you work out. And if you are doing okay, then I should be okay.
All right. Okay. So one of the things also that happened last week, Tuesday, was President Biden gave his State of the Union address. And after the address, there was a lot of controversy. Some of the controversy was based on the heckling that came from the people, our representatives. And I think that it's worthy. I mean, when they yelled out, because one of the things they kept yelling out about President Biden was that he's a liar. But President Biden most definitely has his track record because he's been able to be a functional president versus the dysfunction that was in the White House prior to him getting elected. So at this point, we still, Calvin, have election deniers. We had 7 from North Carolina who didn't certify the elections. And I was in the beginning, but now it's how many years later? I don't call their name out, but it's important that we as investors in this country, because we are vested in this country, that we follow the track record of these people who we are paying big money to in Congress, in Washington, and they're doing their own thing and they're not truly representing their people, or they're not representing all the people. So again, we're going to be now, I guess, getting back in session, and there'll be opportunities for bills to be presented in both the House of Representatives, that is now Republican control. And we just know, all right, that I remember when they called President Obama, when he was giving his State of the Union address, the person from South Carolina yelled out that he was a liar. And for some reason, Calvin, I was very offensive to that call. Now, not only he only said it one time, but
but they also made him apologize. That's why I put that out there.
Yes. Yes, he did. So now we just had another State of the Union address last week, Thursday, and they heckled.
Tuesday, wasn't it?
Tuesday. They heckled and they called, not only heckled, they made sounds with their mouths. This is the MAGA people. And they also called President Biden a liar.
More than once.
Yes. So what is the tone that we can say that we have for a president? Okay, a president that is lifted higher than, and not that what is it they call? They are not they're subjected just like how we are to follow laws and rules and regulations. But when we have a person that we elected, I'm not going to go along with the election deniers, but he was fairly elected, and yet the people who we put there in office, do we keep them there when they could be so disrespectful and so disruptive?
Well, Renee, I say this here, that when President Biden went to Congress, but he was invited to do that. And see, this is what a lot of people don't understand. McCarthy invites the president to their house for him to give the State of the Union address. So I'm going to break it down now. How can I invite someone to my house and then get them in my house and then heckle them, try to make them feel incompetent? How can I do that? So this is what the GOP was doing to President Biden. He was invited there, and then you have Green and you had Gates, and some other people. They were heckling him like they were at a club or something, calling him a liar. But the good thing about the whole incident is that President Biden handled it great, in my opinion. He did a great job. He didn't get upset. He just handled them. And that was important because he'd been dealing with people like that for a long time. So he handled them the way that I think he should have handled them, and that's what happens. But it should never happen anyway. But, these people, these mega people, they are controlling the Congress people like McCarthy. They control him, if you saw the debate, not the debate, but the State of the Union, he was back there sometimes shaking his head. And I know that he had to be embarrassed at some point because of the way that, they were carrying on. You can't invite me to your house and then treat me a certain way. If you don't invite me, if you want to heckle me, if you want to try to make me feel incompetent or feel bad, then don't invite me to your house. Well, and that's what happens here. They invite President Biden to their house, and then they try to make him feel bad, call him a liar, disrupting his speech and all that. But you know what, Renee? One good thing I can say that I like is that when he had everyone there stand up in support of the Medicare and Social Security. So now they can never say that they didn't do that.
Well, you're right. They were very upset because number one, he brought it out like protecting our seniors and so many things that are in place, okay, or that they're trying to put in place since the House of Representatives are now not heavily, they have about 5 seats more than the Democrats, the Republicans do. They have to vote. And so he had them stand up. Are you for seniors? If you're for seniors, stand up, and everybody stood up. And then he threw in there, are you for protecting also? So that means you want to protect Social Security and Medicare. And meanwhile, they were still standing. So it became something at that state of address. And I have to say that they want to call Biden old. They want to call him that he is in another world. But my question, and maybe you'll answer that, is do you think President Biden should run again? Should he seek re-election? Call us at 252-756-2008.
Well, Renee, I think he should run again. And I'm just going to put this out there because you have so many people that's in Trump's cult, that said that, he didn't lose the 2020 election, that he's still the president. And I've watched him on TV, said he's still the president. So my question is, if he's still the president in their mind, then how can he possibly run a third term? Because the United States, you can only run 2 consecutive terms. So how can he run a third term? So we need to ask them that question.
Okay, that's a good question because you did ask that question last week and nobody responded. So maybe we'll get a call in to say whether or not they support the presidency or the re-election of President Biden, or would they like to see Trump back in there?
Well, that's the thing, you got so many people that want to see Trump back in there. I know we'd be driving up and down the road and I see on 95, there's a big sign, that they want Trump back in office. I mean, it's maybe you see these signs on the side of the road where they have a big one up there. I mean, it's a big, can't miss it. Then across the street from that, they have a big Confederate sign. So that tells you where they are in this United States. I don't understand it, but I feel for the people that don't understand it and be trying to understand it, because what are we saying? We want to go back in time. I can't go back in time, and we're going to be going to a break. Don't touch that dial.
We'll be right back.
To genius, to share a Bible principle. Most of us have been betrayed by someone. I know I have, and it's always been, particularly when it involves someone who has been a friend. King David faced this problem. It's often to do he was betrayed by the Edomite. He was anything but a friend. However, in Psalm 55, David was betrayed by a close friend and confidant. For David, this was more painful than any previous betrayal. Listen to his words. Now it is not an enemy who insults me, otherwise I could bear it. It is not a foe who rises up against me, otherwise I could hide from him. But it is you, a man who is my peer, my companion, and good friend. We used to have close fellowship. We walked with the crowd into the house of God. Well, David went on to express the pain that he felt through this betrayal. In this psalm, David definitely was talking about himself. However, what he wrote describes remarkably the feelings Jesus had when Peter denied he even knew the Savior. But know Jesus' prayer for Peter. Simon, Simon, look out. Satan has asked to sift you like wheat. But I prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And you, when you've turned back, strengthen your brothers. With this prayer, Jesus gives us a powerful principle to live by. When we're betrayed by someone we've trusted implicitly, we follow the example of the Lord Jesus Christ, who prayed for his fickle friends and his worst enemies. The Bible principle you've heard today comes from the Life Essentials Study Bible by Dr. G.S. For more information about this first ever multimedia study Bible, go to BiblePrinciples.org. That's BiblePrinciples.org. Author Radio 1069 WBIS-LP.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions
And welcome back to News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Borstonell. Today is Monday, Calvin, the February 13th. And we just want to make sure that we continue to inform our listening audience. And we want to thank each and every one of you who join us every Monday. And know that once we're on Facebook, which we are, you don't have to necessarily be to watch it exactly at 10 o'clock. They can see it on YouTube. They can see it on the Awesome Radio website, and they can also see it on Facebook anytime. I always load it up into our story. But we are going to do our Black History segment, which we're going to continue every Monday morning.
Yes, Renee. And since you mentioned the February the 13th date, I just wanted to say that since we're going to be here tomorrow, your sister is going to have a birthday tomorrow.
Yes, happy birthday, Denise.
Happy birthday, Denise. We all love you. But today, Black History, we're going to be talking about someone, like I said before, that I'm sure not too many people are aware of. And her name is Clara Brown. Now, Clara Brown, this is someone that Clara Brown is one of the most amazing women in American history. She was born in the year 1880. Think about that, 1880 in America as a slave. However, later in her life, she became a philanthropist, a successful businesswoman, and a community leader. During this period, she also gave a helping hand to the other slaves by resettling, resettling most of them. She made her backbone during the gold rush by starting. I know what I'm doing, Renee. I see you looking at me, but it's okay. My glasses are all foggy and everything, but during the gold rush by starting a laundry business. She flourished in the laundry business, later left to go to and look for her daughter, Elizabeth Lane, who was also a slave. Her untimely passing came in the year of 1885. She lived a long time, Renee, but however, Clara was one of the unfortunate people that were born into slavery. She was born in the year, like I said, 1800 in Virginia, And the thing is, Ambrose Smith bought young Clara, and her mom at an auction. This is why it's so important. That saw the family separating. Ambrose that put Clara to start working the cotton field at a very tender age. However, the Smith decided to make a move to Kentucky. Therefore, Clara and her mother did not have the choice but to go along with their master. Now, the age of 18 saw the marriage between Clara and Richard. The union saw the birth of 4 children. The children were Richard, Pauline, and Lisa. And Margaret. Their family knew grief early when their sister Pauline passed away. Moreover, the death of Morris Smith also brought more grief. Soon after Mother Ambrose's death, the family member put them up for auction. See, this is why it was so important that I let you all know about this here. Because she gave most of her life in search of her family members, Now, obtaining freedom, Clara was also bought off at an auction by one George Brown. The slaver realized that he had hit a gold mine by seeing how bright Clara was. So in his will, Renee, George made sure that he freed Clara. Therefore, at his passing, Clara obtained her freedom at the age of 56 years old. However, since Kentucky was a slave state, she was required to vacate the country. And see,
the country or the state?
Back then, they called it the country, but it was a state that she had to leave. Upon her arrival in Colorado, Claire got a job as a housemaid to make ends meet. She worked as a cook, a cleaner for the Livingsworth family for some time. However, later she got another job as a cook, and of 26 men, so many. That was a lot of men that she had to cook for, on a caravan. The travel to Colorado was not an easy one for Clara. The men were loud and often complaining about her presence. So back then, what could she wear? She had only a few things to wear. Clara, I'm just going to skip some of this here, but Clara searched for her family. Just after the end of the Civil War, Clara decided to go out and look for her family. So she made her way south. She had heard of the news that her daughter, Lisa Jane, was down there. Some of her other family members, like Margaret, had passed on, although she could not be able to find any news of her husband, Richard, and son. So since she could not see her daughter, she took up the role of helping the other slaves. And that is so important. She did a lot for slaves. She provided ways for the slaves to settle down in Colorado. Clara then moved to Kansas to help free slaves. They had decided to settle down there for farming the land. the year 1880, Claire got the news of her daughter living down in Iowa. She got to reunite with her. She searched for many, many years trying to find her daughter, and then she ended up finding her daughter, Renee. It took almost over 50 years to get back together with her family. So, Renee, we are so lucky in these times because, we are here. We don't have to worry about being sold or separating from our family, but we sometimes we don't appreciate the family that we have. The summer, but this is when she passed away, Renee, in 1885, she passed away. She lived a long life, 85 years. This was shortly after the reunion with her long lost daughter, Lisa. Just before she passed on, Clara was named as a member of the Society of Colorado Pioneers. This was due to the role she played during the Colorado Gold Rush. She remained one of the few kind-hearted women in American history. This is because her efforts touched the lives of many helpless people across the races. So you see, when they say across the races, Renee, it wasn't just black she helped. She also helped white folks, because this was Clara Brown.
Okay, and they called her. She had a nickname. They used to call her Aunt Clara. She was known as Aunt Clara, and they also talk about how her contributions. That she would have been honored, but humbled to be considered one of the 100 most influential women in history of Colorado. So she went into the history. She went into the books as for women history, for her works and her contributions. And we just know that we're thankful for her fortitude. We're thankful for her energy, and even though we didn't live back then, what would have helped her if they had the DNA testing that they do now, and how DNA has been able to put so many families together, help them to find so many people.
And Renee, the good thing about this Clara Brown is the fact, and not only Clara Brown, but her master, that he freed her, at age 56. Now, you think about that. Some people live as a slave all their life. Well, she was freed at age 56, and she went looking for her family, and she did so many things to help people. When I say people, to other slaves, she helped settle them, in different parts of this country. Wherever she went, she was there to help people.
And they also say here, Calvin, that Clara Brown was likely the first African American woman to come to Colorado. Born a slave in Virginia, Brown was freed in Kentucky and headed west during the Colorado Gold Rush in 1859. She acquired, believe it or not, she acquired mining properties in Gilpin County, and she used her wealth to become
religiously to WBIS Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. I really never knew the game.
You finish that on the way back.
Culture is not football. Consider that Boy David was willing to go up against Philistine Goliath, a threatening giant. Even King Saul would not take on the giant.
That was a fast 10 minutes.
With his armor and weapons.
No, we're looking forward to a faster 20 minutes.
There offered it to David for his protection. David's answer: there is none like it. Give it to me. David started with a small skill, a small weapon, and became proficient in greater weapons. His faith was in God, not his weapons. This feature at WidowConnection.com.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions.
And just some more facts, Calvin, we're going to finish up with R. Clara Brown. I was saying she acquired a mining properties in Gilpin County, and she used her wealth to become a philanthropist who helped former slaves rebuild their lives in Colorado. Another, since we are on the Super Bowl, another fact is that, and I didn't know this, Charles Haley was the first ever 5-time Super Bowl champion. They want to make Tom Brady as the 5-time or the Super Bowl champion. But Black History facts of the day is that it was Charles Haley, the first ever 5-time Super Bowl champion. So what else is going on, Calvin?
Well, Renee, we have a lot of stuff going on in this country of ours, but I'm going to ask our awesome radio listeners out there, when you get an opportunity, look up the 15th Amendment, to the U.S. Constitution, the voting rights. In 1870, that was a big thing. And you got to remember, back then, Renee, we had people that was in Congress, black people, black men in Congress from right here out of North Carolina. We had individuals. But we need to go back and look that up because, I want our awesome radio listeners, this is what I'm giving them to do, to find out who was the black congressman from North Carolina, back in the 1800s. I have it right here, but I want to see if anybody's going to look it up and give us a call. It's so important that we know our history and know who was here, who was there, and who was doing excellent. But then the 15th Amendment, this is what changed the way we vote, Renee. So we got to look that up and make sure that, we understand why and how, we got to be voting in 1965 when they passed the Voting Rights Bill. Well, just think how long from 1965 to 1870, what happened. So this is why, Renee, we give the information here at News and Politics today with Renee Boston Hill.
So one of the things also that I want our listening audience to pay attention to is that the debt ceiling is needs to be lifted. And the president wants to find out exactly, since they want to they want to have a bill, or they want to have be able to say exactly what do they want to cut their spending on, because they don't no longer want to have this exorbitant spending. However, we do know that when Trump was in office, the Republicans there, they lifted the debt ceiling, meaning paying their bills from the past 3 or 4 times. And now that it's a Democratic president, the Republicans want the president to say that, well, you can't continue to spend, but this money has already been spent and it's about paying the bills. However, one of the things that the Republicans who have control of the House, they say cut, but they're saying they're not going to cut Medicare and Medicaid because the MAGA Trump said they have to keep their hands off of that. And so what is it that they want to cut? So they have to have a budget, and we need to see exactly where the hands are in terms of the budget. What are they looking to cut, or where do they think cuts should be coming from? And we need to keep our eye on that, because they can't just say, meaning the Republican or the GOPs cannot keep saying they want to cut, but don't say where they want to cut. And if we're going to be having this chaotic kind of Congress, we need to make sure that we hold their hands and their feet, because our representatives in Congress, in the Senate, there are 2 Republicans. Our representative here in the House in Washington, one is a Repub and the other one is a Democrat. So we need to keep our eye on it. We need to keep our eyes in where they show up. We need to see, are they standing, or who are they standing with? Because we need to make sure that, number one, we still don't have Medicaid expansion. So we still have quite a few people who are underinsured or uninsured. And we need to make sure that we hold our elected officials accountable to get here in North Carolina, the state, Medicaid expansion. And it's so important, and that we let them know how we feel about this. Okay, we need to make sure that we find a way for the federal bills get passed with the George Floyd bill. Again, this is work that we sent them to Washington to do, and we need to make sure, because Black people are still dying at the hands of the police, and we need to hold them accountable if they murder us. So we need to make sure that that qualified immunity that they hide behind, that if they go out of what their training was in terms of just stopping us for a traffic light or a bad car light, or they ran the plate and they see something about us, about the car. It's not necessarily about the person, but you can lose your life. And I was listening that there was another call, or there was another conversation on how, again, they tased this person to death. You know, like once you have you have a control over the situation, there's no reason to keep doing this force. And so the person ended up dying. He did let them know that he had a heart condition, but that did not stop the police for continually tasing him until he died.
And this happened in Raleigh, North Carolina, not some other state. This happened right here in North Carolina.
I didn't know the state, so it was Raleigh.
Raleigh, North Carolina.
So okay, so I mean that's even closer to home. And why? Why the abuse of force or has to be used on Black people? And it would be okay if they treated all people alike, but they don't. They don't. Driving while Black is extremely dangerous. Driving, I mean, and I'm not saying that he was in the right, because I guess I heard they found drugs on him, they found guns, but if they had the weapons and the drugs, then why did he have to lose his life?
Well, see, that's the thing too, Renee. I say this here, that this happened, and the people in North Carolina will know when I say that sweepstakes. It happened near a sweepstakes. The owner of this business, said to the police department that they need some more security because evidently there was crimes that was going on around the business. So they called for the police, and now this individual was there, and like you said, he had drugs, he had a gun in the vehicle, but even though he had all that, there was no need for him to lose his life. There was no need. But then, what are the police saying? One of the things they always say, well, I was feared for my life, But once the individual, they had tased him once or twice, and then once he said he had a heart condition, why did they continue to tase him? This is, I guess, come out in the report, so we have to figure that out, And we never really talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene that much, but I just want to bring something up that she said, and I think that, and she said, Black and Hispanic men choose being in gangs and dealing in drugs over education. Well, see, I think that is a lie. Now I'm calling her a liar because the fact that, you have more individual Black men, Hispanic men that are getting educated than the few that are dealing in gangs or in drugs. But she put this stuff out there because she have a following, and that's what she does. She put this stuff out there because she know that certain individuals, certain groups like hearing this stuff, this information about Black men, or Hispanic men, where it's not true. I'm not dealing in drugs. I know a lot of other Black young men. If you go to Pitt Community College, you go to Hofstra University, you go to York College, you go to ECU. You see a lot of men, black men, Hispanic men, right there getting the education. They're not dealing in drugs. But then she put this out there.
Yeah, well, any way that they can bring down a certain group of people, they're going to do that. But again, we rise to all occasions. We rise, Calvin, no matter how they want to suppress us, how they don't want to learn, or for our children to learn our history, how we came to this country, how we built this country, and we still are looking for reparations. We're still looking to be paid for the work, or at least be compensated in some kind of way. And the ways that they can, when you talk about reparation, putting money aside, and I mean, they found a way to disperse us throughout this country. Um, I I don't know where the black communities are anymore because gentrification took them over, and and so we are dispersed. Okay, and yet we still rise. Okay, we still rise, and we still show unity amongst the people.
Well, and that's what we do. No matter how they try to put us down, knock us down, bend our back, we're going to straighten up each time. And because that's what we do. We came here not voluntarily. They brought us here, and so many hundreds and hundreds of us died on ships when they were trying to get us over here. But you don't hear about that. The thing is, like one of my sons used to get in trouble every Columbus Day because they used to celebrate Columbus Day in school. And I used to tell him the true story about how Columbus did not discover America. And, when he would say something like that in school, the teacher would try to punish him. And I would have to go to school sometime and get them straight. But that's what we have to do. We have to let, sometimes individuals that don't know, sometimes you have to just teach them and tell them the right way, because some of these teachers, they were taught one thing and that's all they teach, the way they were taught. And that's not always the truth. But what are we going to do about it?
Well, we're going to keep educating our listening audience. We're going to, like bring awareness, because I have so much family. We have family in Florida. And if I lived in Florida and I had that governor that is there trying to downplay Black history, but they can teach European history, they can teach other people's history, but they don't want to talk about the Black history and our contribution to this country. And it's important, particularly not only for 1 month, but it's something that needs to be discussed every single day. The contribution that Black people have made in this country.
Well, the contribution that Black people have made, I think they should call the White House the Black House, because that's who built it. Black slaves, built the White House. That's what happened. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look up who built the White House, and then get back to me if you think that I said something incorrect.
All righty. So again, things to keep in mind that are making being controversial is Florida with their and they never taught to kindergarten, middle school, high school, the CRT or the critical race theory. What it is, it's a lesson that was taught or being taught in college. And when somebody don't want you to have something, okay, meaning your history, then that's even more reason for you to fight to have it. And during this month, there's a lot of information that is out there, but let us continue every month, Calvin, doing a segment again on Black history, because our history is so rich. Even one day, 1 hour talking about Black history is not even enough time to bring out the issues of Black history and to learn and to be proud of who you are. Because when people are trying to make you not proud, then that's even more reasons to show an interest. I mean, young people should want to know, well, why is it that he's trying for me not to learn about Black history? Why? We need to establish it. And then again, because somebody don't want you to have it, that's more of the reason to have it. and what could we be doing to instill? Because when I think about Calvin, my high school, it was less than 3% Black. And in that high school, they managed to put us down, to run us out of their neighborhood, call us all kind of names, fight with us. And the worst enemies were the teachers and the what is it, the council people. And so one of the things that I had to work during high school because that's how I was able to help my family. But they had boards out there, and the boards would have jobs. And my council person would try to get me to go into a factory. And then there were jobs out there where I could have worked in a bank. There were so many other opportunities, but she wasn't pointing me in that direction. She wanted me to work a little minuscule job. She thought that I was never going to go to college because she didn't encourage me. And they did everything they could to fail me in my classes so that I would have not a good pass. So I say some of the most dangerous people in this world are teachers because they are there and they manage to influx or take over teaching. White folks have taken over teaching, and they are the ones who either can encourage or discourage a student. And I was discouraged, particularly in my high school.
Well, I know that quite well, Renee. But and the thing is, we both have similar experiences in high school, but that's what they did back then. And you got to be careful because some of us still doing it today. And we got to be so careful. That's why, I tell parents, go get involved, join the PTA, see what your teachers, when they have a teachers conference, go up there and talk to those teachers, see what they're doing, see how they're teaching your children. Because as grandparents, we do that with our grandchildren, and it makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, they know the Boston Hills, Calvin. They all know the Boston Hills.
That's right.
Because we stay involved, because we know that had we not been who we were as people, they could have destroyed us. And they could have made it so that nothing was happening, that we became nothing like they wanted us to, and how they promoted us to be nothings in our lives.
And one of the things, we definitely support education, because once you get it, no one can take it away from you, and that's why we tell our grands, get that education, no matter what, get the education, because once you get it, you can do other things, and then I always say this here, Renee, I know what I had to tell my sons, that they had to be twice as good to go for the same job as a white person. That happened to me. I went for a job. I had came out of the military, and had gone to college and going against a job with an 18-year-old white boy. And guess what? He ended up getting the job. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, or the jobs that I've had where there might have been men in the same position, they all made more money than me.
Yeah.
They all made more money than me. And when I finally was in a position where I could see the pay schedule, that's when I started to get paid.
Well, you're talking about money, Jared Kushner, the people, let me just put it like this. GOP talking about Hunter, Biden's son, but you don't hear them talking about Kushner, how he got over $2.5 billion, from the Saudis. So this is why I say, you got to be very careful who you listen to, because in April of 2022, the New York Times reported that Jared Kushner received $2.5 billion in Saudi-backed funds. So think about that. But you don't hear nothing about that. You don't hear nothing about it when he was working for Trump. Him and his wife, Trump's daughter, was working for the government, but yet they were still making plenty of money, on the side.
And a lot of it probably has not been disclosed. And again, we need to keep our eye. I mean, you don't want anyone, or you should not be made to feel that you're not entitled to the same thing that a lot of people are entitled to. You should not have people putting caps on you so that you cannot make the money that you think you should be entitled to because you're working for it. But next week, we'll be back, News and Politics Today with Renee and Calvin Borstenhill. We will be back next week, Monday.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are